Hi everyone, my name is Chloe and today I'm going to be making a video about Hurricane Melissa and the Caribbean. And I wanted to first of all start off the video by really acknowledging the impact that Hurricane Melissa has had, whether that's in Cuba, the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, Haiti, Jamaica, the animals, the communities that have to be rebuilt. It's hard to even put in words. But something I wanted to touch on just in this initial start of the video is that I think the Caribbean a lot of the time is just seen as one big party, like land of, and I have touched on this in other videos I've done on TikTok, like in terms of this kind of like view of Black Caribbeans specifically as being like no, like having no morals, and I think all of that, and stop saying I think too much, sorry, all of that is connected, and the history, the traditions, the culture of Black Caribbeans is not respected time and time and time again. And when something like this happens, those that have profited so much from the creativity, the innovation of that same community are saying absolutely nothing. That we cannot make that up. It's such a clear example of that dehumanization. And just to really illustrate Hurricane Melissa is one of the strongest Atlantic storms to make landfall on record. News reports from when I checked most recently said that there has been at least 34 people who have died in Jamaica, Haiti and Cuba. I saw videos of people stranded and being rescued. And it's that pursuit of greed, competition and extraction with a complete disregard for the permanent damages this will have on global communities, the environment and ecosystems. To quote from an article entitled "The Caribbean, Trouble in Paradise" at a site called BNP Paribas economic research site, despite the low contribution in relation to total global CO2 emissions in Caribbean nations, they are disproportionately vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, such as rising sea levels and more intense hurricanes. And Hurricane Katrina, I really, this is coming to the center of my mind because of the subject matters that I discussed in that video. And one of the terms that I explored in that video was environmental racism. And with a quick summary, it's basically how Black and brown folk and Asian folk and indigenous peoples, Pacific Islanders are more likely to be impacted by by climate change, by these changes in the environment. One thing that really came to the forefront of my mind once again also was that the exploitation of the Caribbean is not new. There is a long history, and I know that people have rightfully mentioned that hurricanes, situations like this can be profited off of, and there's criticisms of charities who take the money, don't actually give it directly to the people. And there's also criticisms of companies who use, who might see this as an opportunity to profit from suffering. And to bring it back to the colonists, our ancestors, the ecosystems deforestation, things like that, the crash crop plantations, which with a quick summary is basically growing crops for profit in a way that, you know, the soil is being damaged, the water is being polluted. These are conversations we see environmentalists having today. They're still having those conversations today. Species going extinct because of the introduction of these animals that they brought with them, right? And this is something that I learned a bit more about from an article called Slavery as Ecocide, Beyond the Double Fracture of Modernity. I'll put the source on here. But thinking about how farmers and I saw quite a few videos of farmers in Jamaica who have lost everything. They've lost absolutely everything. There's no like quick solution when it's the environment that is suffering, when it's the people that are having to that are not getting the support that they need, that are homeless, that have lost absolutely everything. And there's so much to talk about with resortification and how you have these rich investors who are profiting off of the tourist industry in Jamaica, but ordinary everyday Jamaicans who are running that industry, who they would be nothing without, are not benefiting in the same way. And just seeing the way that tourists who lack empathy of seeing how much Hurricane Melissa has impacted people, fighting over food, when the people who are impacted, that are working in the hotels, are doing everything that they possibly can, and they're having to juggle so much, and all you care about is yourself. And that's where I had to, like, as a Westerner, really think about how I approach this, because us Westerners, we think, and then also we don't recognize this sense of superiority that we can also hold, and that we benefit in these relationships with traveling. There's an element of like we are intentionally positioning ourselves in a way because we know that we have advantages that they do not, right? And there's also the side of things where I've seen the judginess, I've seen the uncalled for looking down on Jamaicans because of the way that we cope through humour. Like, let people do dominoes. You can't tell people how to deal with the grief of this situation. We can contribute to these negative relationships between the global south and the global north. Those are the main topics that I kind of wanted to touch on. There are so many sites, there are so many organizations I've seen that we can donate, support, if you can do so, right? Get involved. If you cannot donate, please just share some of these resources. I just wanted to sort of compile some resources, and yeah, if you cannot afford to donate, don't worry, just share some of these links with your network. To my Caribbeans, really, it's just a lot. What you're having to go through right now is a lot, and you deserve better, and it shouldn't be like this. Things should not be like this.